Hey everyone, I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm Ian Fuego here, and this is your horror show news. Jumping right into it, we have the top story coming from the New York Comic Convention, which involved a surprise screening of the new Ash vs. Evil Dead series that is coming to stars on Halloween. That's right, guys, October 31st. Very excited for it. And Kevin Smith was moderating this panel, which was not necessarily supposed to actually show this, but delighted the audiences. It has been described as one of the best moments of the entire convention by many. So you basically have Bruce Campbell returning to his iconic role as Ash, and with Sam Raimi actually once again behind the lens for this very first episode, but he's not going to be there from there on out. It's going to be just on a strictly producer role. We're very excited to see that debut on Halloween. The horror show is going to be watching it. It has a few new cast members coming, including Ray Santiago and Jill Marie James, who are, along with Lucy Lawless. We cannot forget mentioning her, who is most notably known for working with Sam Raimi on the Xena series. So it's kind of things coming full circle. Ash finally on the small screen. It's going to be pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And moving into our second story out of New York Comicon this year, in case you guys couldn't tell, we're going to be focusing on stories coming out of 2015's New York Comic Convention that have to do with horror. So our second story with that in mind is all about The Walking Dead, which, if you haven't been living under a rock, you know about at this point. It is a series that is basically all the way up into the 140s, I believe, in the comics. And of course, it's moved into its 6th season this year. And that is actually what we want to talk about, because at New York Comic Con, Robert Kirkman at the Walking Dead panel had some things to say about this new season. He said, first off, that it's going to be the most intense season of The Walking Dead thus far, which, if you guys have been watching, it's been getting steadily sort of more intense, and we'd like to see what that means. But yes, the intensity level is ratcheted up at this point. He also said that Rick is going to be basically interacting with many different people within the town of Alexandria, which should be interesting considering the group's terribly different dynamics when it comes to how to do things day-to-day life than the people of Alexandria. Additionally, the character Maggie is supposed to become a liaison of sorts between Rick's group and the people of Alexandria, so that is going to be explored in Season 6. And finally, apparently we can expect to see way more CGI this season than we have in the past, in order to accommodate the fact that the zombies have now been decomposing over the course of a number of years throughout the actual in-continuity aspects of the series. So it'll be really interesting to try and figure out if we can see or not see those CGI aspects, but apparently there will be more of it coming this season. So look out for Walking Dead Season 6. The first 2 episodes have already aired, but it's not too late to jump on. Check it out on Sunday nights on AMC.
Very excited for it. And also for Fear the Walking Dead, since they've got a double dose of content now, right?
Absolutely. Well, that will be coming back next season, apparently. And also, apparently, Talking Dead will be following Fear the Walking Dead in addition to the regular Walking Dead series. So anyone that loves the post-show hosted by Chris Hardwick, be sure to keep your eyes peeled for the talking Fear the Walking Dead.
Very exciting. And so, getting back to more talking about the dead, or at least in this case, dead people in space. At this weekend's Dark Horse panel at the New York Comic Convention, they actually announced a new ongoing Alien series, which is extremely exciting for the sheer fact that they have been really absent, with the exception of a recent crossover with the Prometheus and Predator properties that Dark Horse also owns from the comic landscape. There is a plethora of different series that came out in the 90s and the late 80s following the original films, but they have kind of lost steam until recently. But with that new Alien Paradise Lost film being announced, the new title for Prometheus, I think it's kind of convenient that they're going to be offering it up in April. The series is entitled Aliens Defiance and is written by Brian Wood and illustrated by Tristan Jones, and it is essentially taking a Ripley-like character between the first and the second film from the Colonial Marines that appear in the second movie, and sending her to check out the derelict, which Ripley herself had seen. So it's going to be exciting to see an ongoing as opposed to kind of a short mini-series, and hoping it brings more exciting adventures from the Aliens comic universe that I'm such a big fan of.
Absolutely. And sticking with the theme of comics, the Attack on Titan fever has yet to be slowed down, as a new series is apparently being produced by the comics publisher, Kodansha Comics, I believe is what they're called. And this series is apparently supposed to be an anthology of the Attack on Titan world. Each story within the anthology, of course, an anthology is basically a collection of short stories within a larger represented body of work. So the new Attack on Titan series is going to be one such anthology that's going to have stories ranging anywhere between 5 and 25 pages, written by many talented people, including that of Scott Snyder, who has recently taken over the Batman universe over at DC Comics and has been kicking butt with it. Not only that, he also happens to write one of Fuego's and my favorite series, American Vampire. He co-created the character of Skinner Sweet, so him lending his own talents to the Attack on Titan world has this reporter excited. I don't know about the rest of you, but definitely keep an eye out for this Attack on Titan new anthology that's coming from Kodansha Comics. It's a hard one, guys. Forgive me. But yeah,
you are forgiven.
Anything Attack on Titan is bound to be hugely popular, especially considering the fact that the live-action Attack on Titan films have just been released. The first one has been released here in the States already in the month of September, and the second one will be coming up, I believe, October 20th or thereabouts. So yeah, anyone into the Attack on Titan has a lot to look forward to.
So yeah, that's been our top 4 stories from the 2015 New York Comic Convention, and now we get to that part that I love so much, where we get a little less informal, loosen the tie a little bit, and we actually get to give our personal commentary about these stories. So first and foremost, how about what I led off with? What are your thoughts, what your level of excitement about this Ash vs. Evil Dead?
I can't even describe it, honestly. I worry about building its hype up in my own head, but we've
seen what that did with It Follows.
Yes,
and some of these
other horror movies we've
whatnot.
seen recently. Yeah, unfortunately, I tend to get let down. But judging by the black and white footage or the night vision cameras that they had set up in the screening to see people's reactions, I'm actually very excited to see it still. There was laughing, there was scares, there was all kinds of interesting reactions coming from the crowd watching the premiere episode of the series. So the fact that Bruce and Sam are back on board has instilled enough confidence in me that I wasn't worried anyway. But
I have faith too, man.
But just to have the audience reaction reinforce that thought is definitely good for me. What about you?
Yeah, well, the crazy thing is there's still like teasing Evil Dead 4 even after this, which is what's really wild. So I would imagine this is almost like a testing the waters for the property, just to see how much viewership can it get, how successful could it be, and who knows, multiple seasons, crossovers with the remake, like they were hinting at one point as well. They could even maybe bring her on the show.
And there was a recent story that apparently Sam Raimi, his original plan for Evil Dead 4 was to bring both Ashes back from both the theatrical and the director's cut version of Army of Darkness. Yeah. And originally Sam Raimi and his co-creator decided that they wanted to make Evil Dead 4 about both Ashes from both different timelines crossing over.
It's very comic book-esque because DC and Marvel, you and your alternate timelines that confuse me so much as being a casual reader now. It's just kind of like,
it's a
it would
little
make
tough.
sense.
But, I'd be all for seeing maybe if the first season of Ash vs. Evil Dead does well, let's see what's going on with post-apocalyptic Ash. Have him figure out a way to get back. And,
maybe
fun stories abound. Who knows?
There's a lot they could do with it. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Now,
bring on the next story.
Next story was The Walking Dead, sir. Now, you have not been on board with the show for the past couple of years, correct?
No. I watched through about halfway in the second season, and that was where they jumped from, 6 episodes to 20 plus, I think?
No, about
or maybe
13.
Yeah, they at least doubled the quota. And
or maybe 16. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they doubled it, though.
Yeah, and I got kind of just bored with it and have yet to watch it, despite the recommendation of friends like Cecil and people outside of the show. So Fear the Walking Dead actually did tinge my interest to seeing the actual the whole incident happen, and especially in the middle of a city, but I have yet to watch that either. Busy with all kinds of other horror. So.
Yeah, I did watch it, and it was a little underwhelming, but if you recall, the first season of The Walking Dead proper was a little underwhelming as well.
There's about 4 or 5 where they really got good.
Yeah. It took its time,
when that girl's
getting
sister
interesting.
got killed in the first season, that just killed me.
But the first episode, I did watch the premiere of season 6 by the time this episode has aired for everyone, and it was definitely interesting. They did up the zombie level a little bit. There was a scene with the most zombies ever congregated in one spot before. So
we're not talking World War Z, though, right?
No, not quite that bad. And they're all still slow moving, which is nice. George Romero would approve.
Indeed. Shout out to that.
You'll check that out in just the next couple of weeks, you guys. We got to do an interview with George Romero.
Yay!
So the next story, Jaime, was all about the A. All about the aliens.
All about the yes. How cleverly put by my co-host here. Yeah, I'm an enormous fan of the Aliens films, but even more so the comics because they expanded on the mythos so much. I still remember how disappointed I was when, in between the second and the third Aliens film, which we all know was directed by David Fincher, one of his first movies, and a lot of people found it a letdown. I was even more let down to learn that in the comic books, Ripley and Newt survive.
Really?
And they keep going, and Hicks is still there, and it's pretty much what they're thinking of doing in an alternate timeline with this new Neil Blomkamp film. So I would not be surprised if they're using that Dark Horse basis, because those issues were written before Alien 3. And then Alien 3 is like, no, we're just going to disregard the comics. And they did so much great stuff after timeline-wise, so much great stuff, that I would have liked to have seen it continue as. So, how about you, man? Have you read much of the Aliens?
I haven't read many of the Aliens solo comics. I have read a few of the Aliens vs. Predator comics, and those are really cool. So I intend to start collecting the Dark Horse Omnibuy, each individual Aliens omnibus, so I can get sort of all the comics put together. That's something that excites me and I want to get to eventually. But
I went to the dumb length of spending all the extra money for all the individual little pieces.
I can't say dumb length when I have over 60 long boxes of comics myself, man.
It was a fun collection process though, because as I mentioned, there's stories that take place way after. A few of the best are like Stronghold is good, Rogue is good, Labyrinth is good, just to kind of up my credibility that I've actually read them. The Colonial Marines length maxi series, I guess is what they would describe it if it's more than like 4 or 6.
Yeah, if it's 12, it's usually a maxi series.
And it was 12, and it was tremendous. You've got this character who had shown up in a few others. His name is Mondo, and he's the only guy to have ever survived a chest burster coming out of his chest.
Really?
He is an awesome character, and he's like just this big, bulky badass, and huge like chain gun going on, almost like similar to the smart guns in Alien 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they told a lot of great stories, and with this one taking place in between the first and the second film, it's basically this injured girl from the Marines, and she's going to the derelict to scope it out long before they actually decide, okay, the derelict rescue mission, LV-426, this is before all of that. So I'm stoked. It's going to be good, I think.
Awesome. Well, that should be good. Now, let's move on to the final story, which is Attack on Titan. Now, I'm a huge anthology fan, and I do not have any of the Attack on Titan mangas. I have watched about half the anime series, and I am looking forward to watching the live-action movies, but...
So was it a manga first or an anime first?
It was a manga.
Yeah,
it was a manga first and then an anime.
Usually the case over there. So.
And they actually just launched a new show that is Attack on Titan, like Junior High edition, and it's supposed to be more funny than anything, and apparently it's good. They've only aired 2 episodes so far, so if that sounds fun, you can... if you like Attack on Titan, you've got kids... check out the Attack on Titan Junior High or whatever it is, because...
It's just a tamer way to tell them about big giants eating
big giants that eat people, exactly. I think I would like to check out the anthology because, I really love anthology books.
You know how much I love anthology, period, whether it's in the print or on film.
Either way, exactly. But the fact that Scott Snyder is writing an episode or
Scott.
A story, I'm anxious to see who else will jump on board, but I think it could end up being really cool. And who doesn't like a nice 250-page trade or hardcover up on their bookshelf?
Man, if they could get like a Frank Miller or Grant Morrison or something to do a story, that would be killer. But you can dream, right?
yeah, we'll see what happens. But I think that's just going to about do it for us for this episode of the Horror Show News New York Comicon edition.
Yeah, we did SCC earlier, and this was a lot of fun too. So.
Yep, exactly. We got a little New York up in this piece.
That's right. SDCC, you ain't getting all the love.
Boom.
Yeah, that's right. Both sides, coast to coast, Horror Show.
What? Exactly. So thanks for watching, and thanks for dealing with that little interlude.
Hey, you'll laugh.
And I've been Cecil Laird.
I've been Jaime and Fuego, and one thing I forgot to mention is there's actually an Aliens comic called Horror Show.
Really?
Try to check that out.
You gotta find that for me, bro.
Yeah, indeed.
All right,
so
guys.
Until next time.
Remember, stay scared.